The Spurs, they lost the Bulls after they came out flat. They fell behind by 18 points. And afterwards, Pop was asked what he as a coach can do to get his guys more ready. And, well, he was Pop. Listen to what he had to say here.
I don't remember playing tonight. I didn't play. Guys get a lot of money to be ready to play. No Newt Rockney speeches. It's your job. If you're a plumber and you don't do your job, you don't get any work. I don't think the plumber needs a pep talk. If the doctor botches operations, he's not a doctor anymore. If you're a basketball player, you come ready. It's called maturity. It's your job.
And not subtle. Just like a couple weeks ago when the Spurs won a game against Dallas, and Pop also not subtle, calling his own team, quote, pathetic. Now, with some coaches, frankly, this act could get old. San Antonio may have had an off night against Chicago, but the Spurs do have the second best win percentage in the entire league. And on a lot of teams, if players were performing that well, but kept getting publicly ripped, well, that's the kind of thing that can lose a coach a locker room. But these are the same players who heard Pop talk to those kids a few weeks ago, who have been hearing him for years. And the kind of man that Pop is, the integrity he regularly shows, that matters in this equation. That's why Pop has the room to be extra harsh, even when it's not always completely warranted. And that's why he remains this sport's best coach, period. Now, Tracy, you played for Pop. You can tell us what it's like firsthand. His principles and credibility, does that soften the blow when he sometimes really, I mean, he calls guys out hard.
Well, 5-time champion. He's the best coach in our game today. He know what it takes to motivate his players. Saying that, they're 18-5. Now, people from the outside will look at this and be like, what is he complaining about? They're 18-5. They have, but a coach of this caliber, any coach, coaching the NBA team, you know the temperature of your team. You know that although we're 18-5, we're not playing our best basketball, and this could be devastating coming down the line.
Yeah, that's the definition of, his comments was the definition of a championship coach. I had the luxury of playing with a great coach in Larry Brown and Jim Calhoun in college. And both coaches, they would say different things in the locker room or before practice to try to motivate guys, because they understood that in order for us to win a championship and get there again, we had to be prepared. We had to be hungry, because a lot of times it's a long season, and with them being 18-5, they kind of get complacent. So with not having Tim Duncan in that locker room, he got to figure out different ways to motivate these guys all year round.
When I was there for that short stint, very short stint, I saw Pop coach Tim Duncan like he was one of the 15 guys on the team. Like, he got on these guys, Tony, Manu, he got on them like, you know, they were rookies. And they sat there and they took it. And you, as a young player, see Coach Popovich getting on Hall of Fame players like that, and they sit back and take, you have to fall in line.
Are there times, though, where it does sort of get so abrasive? I mean, from my perspective, I spent years as a sideline reporter. I have a great relationship with Coach Popovich. We will have long conversations off the court, you know, about things, and he's been incredibly kind and respectful toward me. I got lucky with him in sideline interviews. We never had like an incident or a moment, but I know several people who have, including the great Doris Burke, who is fantastic at her job, or David Aldridge, who is a Hall of Fame reporter. And he doesn't have to be that harsh to them. This is just their job. And by the way, the league gets paid a lot of money for TNT and ESPN to be able to come and do that. And there are times where, Trace, I know you've told me about interactions you had with him. I mean, are there points where you're just sort of like, dude, chill out?
Yeah, I mean, that's what are you going to do? That's his personality. We're not going to be able to change that. That's who he is, right? I think sometimes it's frustrating when you're trying to get an answer out of him, and he comes across that way. It was like that with me sometimes, but, you know, hey, what am I to do?
I was always, for me, though, it was always the cushion of like, okay, but he's such a good guy, such a good person. He's so smart, and he does have that championship pedigree.